Chapter 12, Part 2. It felt good to be outside. A few stars had edged over the dark tree-lined horizon. A light breeze stirred the humid night air, and the steady drone of frogs and crickets was the only sound as I emptied the trash into the garbage can behind the garage and walked along the driveway to the sidewalk in front of the house. As I walked through the shadows of the trees that lined the sidewalk, I felt like I was leaving the worries about RC and the trial behind. It didn't take long to get to the bridge, and I felt better than I had all day when I saw Naomi leaning over the bridge railing, looking down into the dark water of the Yazoo. Her hair swayed in the night breeze, hiding her face. She didn't move when I stood alongside her and leaned over the railing myself. "What are you looking at?" My arm rested next to Naomi's, barely touching. "The color of the river. During the day it looks so yellow-green, but as soon as it's dark, you'd never know it ever had a speck of color in it. Where's all that color go, I wonder?" Without talking, we watched the dark currents of the Yazoo swirl under the bridge below us. Finally, Naomi turned and faced me. "Hey, Hiram." "Hey, Naomi. You been here long?" "A while. Tonight wasn't a good night to be home. Pa's on a tear again." She turned around and leaned against the railing. No bruises, at least none I could see. That meant she'd gotten out in time. "Drinking?" "Always that. But the last couple days the sheriff's come by looking for RC, and Pa don't know where he is. Sheriff thinks Pa's lying and warned him that RC's a fugitive, and if Pa's hiding him, he'll land himself in jail. Soon as the sheriff leaves, Pa cusses him, RC, the NAACP, President Eisenhower, and anybody else he's mad at. Then he starts up drinking again and slows down for a while, and that's when I know I got to get out of there." "What's the sheriff want RC for?" I asked. "Says he just wants to ask him some questions about that Negro boy got killed up in money." "He say why?" "The way RC talks, I suppose. Everybody knows he hates Negroes and how he treats them. He's been in trouble with the law plenty of times before, but this time it galls Pa something awful. He rants and raves, 'Never thought I'd live to see the day when a white lawman would bother a white citizen of the state of Mississippi about end trouble. RC ain't no saint, not by a long shot, but my boy's white, and the law's got no business worrying him about some black boy floated up in the Tallahatchie.' It makes him hateful, Hiram, worse than drinking." "You seen RC lately?" "Not since Sunday. I don't know where he is, and I'm worried. I'm sure he knows the sheriff's after him. Ain't the first time he's disappeared for a while." "Do you think he had anything to do with that trouble in money?" "RC's done a lot of stupid things, but he's my brother, Hiram. I don't think he'd murder somebody." She looked at me, a little unsure of herself. "I guess they're planning on having a big trial up in Sumner," I said. Naomi nodded. "Sheriff wants me to be ready to testify. I got a subpoena today." "Testify for what? How could you know anything about that murder? You don't even know anybody in money." "I know RC." "So what? Lots of people know RC. Why do they want you?" I told her what RC had said the night before the kidnapping. Next day, Emmett Till was missing, and so was RC. Naomi's face turned sad. "You think RC was with those men?" "I don't know. That day RC and I went fishing, we met Emmett Till and some of his friends at the river. RC did something terrible to him." "Did he hurt him?" "No, but he scared and shamed him. I don't know, Naomi. If you'd seen how RC acted at the river, how cold-blooded he was. Then after he told me he was going to money—" "You can't talk about this in court, Hiram." Naomi's eyes opened wide. "You can't say another thing about this." "I know he's your brother, and it'll be bad for him if anything—" "Blast my brother! It'll be bad for you. Do you think RC or any of his Peckerwood friends will let you get away with speaking against white men for doing something to a Negro? And even if you get back to Arizona, do you know what they'll do to your grandpa? You can't talk in court, Hiram. You just can't. If anything happened to you, if RC did something to you—" Her voice shook. "I just couldn't stand it." She grabbed my hand and squeezed it hard. "You stay away from that trial, Hiram Hilburn. I don't care if you have to sneak out of town and I never see you again. But you stay away from that trial. You just stay away, hear me?" Then she leaned into me and started to cry. I held her while she buried her face against my chest, and I wanted to stay with her like that for as long as I could. Holding her made me forget about everything else that had gone wrong that Mississippi summer. Right then, the only thing I wanted to remember about my weeks in Greenwood was standing alone with Naomi Rydell on the Yazoo Bridge, thinking not about Emmett or RC or Grandpa or Dad, but about Naomi and how I wanted to protect her.